On this episode of AV Week, the state of automation and control in the AV industry, managing high-profile installs during COVID, and leveraging proximity sensors and Bluetooth for touchless meetings. All that and more. Next on AV Week.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is AV Week, episode 464, recorded Friday, July 10th, 2020. Overcomplicated.
Support for AVNation is brought to you by
Shure, sound extraordinary.
And by
QSC, who invites you to go native with the QSys audio, video, and control ecosystem.
And by FSR.
This is AV Week, your weekly wrap-up of audio-visual news and information. My name is Tim Albright. I am your host. With us to discuss the news and information we have gathered this week. First and foremost, you know her from the Avixa Women's Council, but also from Med Systems, Brandy Alvarado. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And also with us, the best dressed side of my brain, Mr. Matt D. Scott from Omega Audio Video. Welcome, and also our Resi Week show. Welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And last but not least, a brand new gentleman, at least for AV Week, but he was the star of one of our Learn From Home sessions back in April, and I'm hoping to get him back on in December if we get a chance. Mr. Joel Norris from Shure. Welcome, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And Shure is one of our underwriters. We thank them for their support. So first story here, guys, comes to us actually from AV Magazine, talking about proximity connections and Bluetooth beaconing. The article talks about Microsoft Teams rooms and their use of beaconing. When you start a Teams call, the system searches for available connections, available meeting rooms, and asks if you want to join. So in other words, if you're in a common space, right, and you start your call, whether that's on a mobile device or it's on your laptop or whatever, it's going to scan the system. It's going to scan the network to see if there is one there, or see if there's an available meeting room there. The proximity technology has been around in marketing and digital signage actually for a while. According to the article, using both proximity as well as occupancy sensors, it creates kind of a seamless meeting experience for folks to kind of say, okay, I'm starting this meeting now, and then I get to walk into this room because, number one, my computer or the team system is sensing where I am physically in the building, on the floor, but also connects with the meeting technology and the meeting scheduling software to see if the room is available. If it is, it'll prompt you. Brandy, I'll start with you on this. This is one of these areas, and the article goes on to talk about this as being an option for touchless meetings, right? Where we don't have to come in and press a button or initiate anything on any sort of control service, right? We walk in, it says, hey, this is available. We can join without touching anything. This is one of those things as we come out of COVID, right, that folks are going to be worried about because we don't want to transmit germs, anything like that. What other areas in the AV world can we see kind of leveraging, maybe not this technology, but leveraging other touchless, quote unquote, technologies?
Yeah, I think, that proximity feature is sort of a nice way to free up mobile devices and laptops. And most people have gotten really used to using their own computers and other devices in meetings. So, the touch factor really isn't such an issue. But, having shared equipment in meetings or conference rooms, that's where the issue is, obviously. At my company, we're accustomed to using different wireless connections and touchless solutions. And for us, the verticals that we work in are typically museums, visitor centers, and theme parks, where it touches everything, right? I mean, we see it with people using interactives and on different exhibits, and obviously in a theme park, kiosks and those sort of things. So that becomes highly, sensitive, especially right now. So for us, I mean, having touchless solutions is kind of a no-brainer, and obviously something that's very much needed at this point. So whether it's a retrofit situation and we're retrofitting, that's kind of been something that we're working on right now, a lot of, or, just deploying new touchless solutions where we're utilizing, sensors like with proximity and beacons and those sort of things as well. so that we're breaking a plane and not having to touch a display or device. And for us, it's so important right now to be doing this. And in this day and age where, we know that COVID is spread, on surfaces as well as airborne. And at least that's what we hear today. So you never know. But
Never know.
Yeah, touchless solutions, I think, is a very big hot button buzz thing for us, at least right now.
All right, Matt, the same kind of question is where else do we see touchless making its way in the world? We talked about 10 years ago, 12 years ago, RFIDs and the ability to read that. Or we've got beacons and we've got Bluetooth built into our devices now that we all have. So where else do we see this?
Well, I think there's lots of areas and platforms where we can utilize this kind of technology to, have a touchless interaction. The problem I see with this and the, kind of spreading your face to cut off your nose situation is, are all of these, huddle rooms or boardrooms, are they going to go to automatic doors? Are they going to go to having someone come in after that meeting and disinfect the table and the chair and the doorknob and the light switch if you're not using automated lighting? It's one of those things where I understand the push for it. I understand the push to go to beacon systems. And honestly, I think that this is kind of one of the best things I've seen so far in a response to COVID that will last beyond COVID. The seamless interaction, the less hassle for a user, I think will outweigh the touch-free sided things for this. But again, to me, it's one of those things of, when this first happened, we talked about, voice automation. And that was a great kind of concept. But again, if you've got to open the door to get in the room, then is touching the touchscreen that bad?
Yeah. Joel, I want to take a little bit different stab at this with you.
Sure.
What are some of the hurdles? There's hurdles, but also benefits of leveraging and using technologies like this because it's all wireless, right? We're all talking about wireless transmission and wireless technologies. What are some of the hurdles, but also some of the benefits of that?
Well, some of the hurdles to start off with, in the 2.4 gigahertz spectrum, you have so many devices, be that, phones or tablets or, laptops and things that are also operating on that same spectrum, that you're going to run the risk of potentially crowding your environment, or even if you're in, say, a convention center when we were at, Infocom or something, you try to use a wireless mouse or even try to do any 2.4 sort of communication, it can be quite slow at points, depending on how crowded that spectrum is in your environment. So it's one particular hurdle that I have seen just when you're in fairly dense places or fairly dense conference rooms, when you have a meeting room full of 20 or 50 people, even though I'm not sure if we're going to go back into that sort of packed environment fairly soon. It is a hurdle, that and the security side of it. When you're dealing with 2.4 gigahertz or even 5 gigahertz devices, there still is that aspect of any endpoint on the network being susceptible to some vulnerability or some patch that either was not plugged or fixed. It's always a problem in the AV, but also in the IT, sort of the IT security realm, that there are, you have the potential for someone with, MTR or some other application that can communicate with Microsoft Teams Room to be able to either join in inadvertently or sort of knock someone off of a room. But they're probably addressing those sort of problems and situations as we speak. It's just something to keep a lookout for. I know that the IT and network engineers, they're always wondering, what is on the network, what devices can communicate without us even knowing, and sort of what we don't know yet about Microsoft Teams Room proximity join. It's going to be an interesting battle, not necessarily a battle, but a finding where the holes and sort of the plugs are with it. There's certainly benefits. Being able to walk into a room with full automation, you don't have to necessarily touch or dial in the number for the conference or for the call that you're trying to connect to. You can just walk in with your device and say join room and such, but potentially who knows if other people can do the same thing, or are you fighting for rooms now, or what will that look like in the future when you have such accessibility and such ease of use and automation when connecting to a room.
Yeah. Real quickly, Joel, as a follow-up to that, you mentioned that IT directors, IT professionals are making sure that what's on the network and what's being able to connect.
Mm-hmm.
Are we getting to a point where they're going to have to start worrying about, the Bluetooth and the other devices that are not necessarily connected to their network properly, right? There's no IP address,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a Bluetooth device that's connected maybe to something that is connected to the network that could potentially be a security threat.
Potentially, yeah, there are always those threats out there, and it's sort of a space that it hasn't sort of proliferated as of yet. It's a fairly new feature, proximity join in Teams Room, that is. It may have been used previously with other manufacturers, other products, but it's not necessarily vetted or proliferated out through the field that we know sort of all the caveats. And accordingly, the network engineers or IT staff will have some questions of, okay, how is this person who may be an outside vendor who comes into the space, do they have access also to these Microsoft Teams rooms? There will have to be some security and sort of authentication there whenever you're using sort of a proximity join. That will be the only sort of hurdles or caveats or things we'll need to address sooner rather than later to make sure that we have written documentation and procedures of how to effectively communicate, give the same simplicity that we want in a sort of proximity join, but for only the people that we want to.
Thanks so much for watching this first segment of AV Week. To check out the rest of the episode for free, click on the link below or go by the website, avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv.